Hey everyone, I hope you're having a great summer. It's so hot here. Like, I have to have the air conditioner on me right now just to be out here and make this video. But like, I just woke up and I knew this morning I had to just come and express myself. It wasn't because it was something specific that I was like, oh yeah, I gotta come talk about this and tell, my YouTube family about this, but it's like more of, I felt it heavy on my heart to be a part of that support system for everybody. And I wouldn't say that things are going pretty smooth for me, but emotionally it's really been a lot of like self-control type of themes coming up. Like, life is going to challenge you, and what is your reaction going to be to that challenge? What is your perspective going to be to that challenge, or whatever you come, face to face with? What is that response? How is it going to be different from like maybe how you used to project about it in the past, or see yourself as a victim in that situation in the past? And then you put yourself in a different position this time. Something happens to you where you could go full freaking victim mode, but you put yourself in a different position. You come from a higher perspective, right? And we're being challenged to like not just talk the talk, but walk the walk right now. And so it's like, how are we showing up and grounding everything we've learned about ourselves, everything we've learned about ascension and spirituality? How are we integrating that into our lives? How are we grounding that into our lives, and not just floating around and acting like we're going to transcend these bodies or something? Because we actually came here to be in the physical. And there's a lot of people who are unbalanced because they're so focused on and obsessed almost with this ascension and kundalini and all these things, and then become so ungrounded. It's like, okay, but how does this tie into your life here right now? Because if all you care about is just blasting off and constantly maintaining that connection, you're not really helping the universe expand, and you're very ungrounded, and there's no point of even being in this body to begin with. So why did you really come here, And so we really have to check ourselves in that regard. We have to ask ourselves, what are we doing here? What sets our soul on fire? And like, how can we make the mundane, right? Because like, it doesn't have to be some complex mission or anything like that. It's really about maintaining a high frequency. And how can we do that? Just being sovereign beings and taking care of our own selves. Just being able to be that independent person who doesn't, like, if you want to be in a relationship, two people who are very independent and self-sufficient come together, and that's what makes, there's a lot of other factors, but that's what can create this strong bond, right? Because if one person comes in and is completely dependent on the other, then there's this codependent dynamic, and it becomes toxic. So every single person, like, this is what we should be teaching children in schools, right? To become sovereign, to grow your own food, to like not give a fuck what's happening in the world because you figured out how to do it yourself, right? And that's my mission. I'm starting to learn. It's like, I have so many big dreams and aspirations, but I really have to channel them down and understand, like, right now in this moment, like, what is your mission? Maintain a high frequency. Understand that, I have 4 children, so I have these 4 little beings that I'm teaching how to, become sovereign, right? Like, and a lot of that is just like basic respect. Walking with integrity. And when you start harnessing those things, like, everything else will fall into place, because how you treat people and that energy that you put out always comes back, no matter positive or negative. It's coming back to you. That is the law of attraction. That's just the way energy works and this universe works. So do you want to flow with it and work with it? Recognize that that's how it works, and decide that you want to change how you respond to situations, and put a different type of energy out there so you can manifest something different in return. Like, you can go full-fledged victim mode and say, I have to feel these things. And yes, you do, but you also have that free will choice to decide how you're going to perceive the situation, how you're going to respond to it. And if you start responding consistently from a higher perspective, a place of love, a place of loving yourself, then you're going to create this reality that you've never experienced before. Now, this is what I was surprised that Spirit actually, that what kind of pulled me out here that I was going to share. That whole beginning just came through out of nowhere. But it was this analogy I used speaking to one of my friends about how I felt about my trauma and how I struggle with it. And, when I was a kid, I went through like really serious abandonment. And it was this weird analogy that came through, and it was like, imagine like a dog that has never had an owner. It's like abandoned, right? And then you go to rescue it, and your heart's in the right place, and you're showing this dog love, and it's just growling at you because it doesn't even know how to receive it. It's never even experienced it. It doesn't even understand what that is. And who are you? Are you trying to hurt me? Because no one's ever tried to help me before. Like this energy of just complete resistance to accepting love. That when you experience, like, that's how so they're growling at this person who's trying to save them. That's how it is for people who are like adopted or abandoned and feel those things in childhood, and then they come up in their adult life, and it's just like, where is this coming from? Like, I feel like I got my shit together, but I have these feelings where it's just so hard to receive. And so like the defense comes up, and however that may manifest, like some people, it's hard for people to even like touch them, or like as soon as somebody says anything like and wants to communicate in terms of maybe like positive, like criticism, trying to be helpful, like come together to resolve something. It's like no constructive criticism feels good to them, because if like they're seen as imperfect, it's like you're worthless. You feel worthless. You know what I mean? It's like these unworthiness themes that come up. And that's what came up for me, like when I was trying to like describe, like, a lot of times people don't understand, like, you're so lovable, your family loves you, your kids love you so much, like everybody loves you. How could you possibly feel those feelings, And for me, it's just like, it still comes up. And even though in my brain and through this process, I have learned how low I am, and I know how to feel that love and generate that love for myself, like that shadow, that trauma, it's still always kind of there, but now it's like how you respond to it differently. So like when it comes up and it's with another individual, like your trauma wants to say it's that person that makes me feel this way, but it's really something that happened to you a long time ago, and then maybe something really minor that happened produces a huge feeling inside of you that doesn't really match the thing that triggered it in terms of like severity, but it's like the huge feeling came from a huge thing that happened to you that like made it so you have a hard time accepting love, or whatever it is, or even being able to maintain that relationship, because like you immediately, if something comes up, it's like you and your partner see each other as enemies instead of like teammates, right? And stuff like that. I'm just using myself as an example, but like this can manifest in different ways. And it really comes down to understanding that this is what is happening right now. I am being triggered by something small. It could be something big. It doesn't matter. You're being triggered, right? And I'm having a really big reaction emotionally inside of my body. And I'm a lot of times labeling it as something that it's really not, because of these emotions. And if you can start to really identify this, and you can even write it down if you're a very visual person, and just really see it all laid out of what your trauma is, how it affects you, how it affects how you interact with other people, how you project onto other people because of it. And it's just like, this is the work. This is the shadow work that we all need to kind of take a look at. And it really does come down to your perspective and how you can really say, okay, I remember how I responded to this last time, but how can I put myself in a different position where I'm making a loving decision for me and others around me in terms of the way that I respond to any given situation, especially the ones that make me feel uncomfortable or upset. So that was just like a little something that I wanted to share that I feel like is very, very relevant right now for not just me, but others. And if we aren't out here and like really sharing and being vulnerable, it's easy to like fall into this scary place of, I'm the only one experiencing this craziness. Am I going crazy? Like, it's the healing process. And I can't remember who I was listening to that said this, but it was the perfect analogy. It's like in a video game, and once you get to a higher level, like you have to like do something, you have to like have a breakthrough, you have to grow or whatever, do what you got to do to get to the next level. But once you get into higher and higher levels, the challenges are harder. Like, to get to the next level, it's a deeper, you got to dig deeper, you got to do like really pick apart that trauma and do the healing work in order to ascend even further and raise your frequency and even further. And I really like that analogy because it's the truth. Like, the dark nights of the soul, they don't really, like, they don't go away. It's just you, like, they do eventually. You start like really getting down to the nitty gritty of the work, but you'll still have these things, this contrast, you're in a physical body having a human experience. It's going to be there. But the reason why it won't feel like a dark night anymore is because you can handle yourself better. You can recognize the issue better. Think back like 5 years ago and how much you've grown in the last 5 years. Probably an insane amount if you're interested in spiritual content and like listening to what or even interested in what I have to say. You probably grew so much, you know? So, yeah, so you can see how you respond to situations differently. You actually notice way more things than you noticed before about anything and everything. What's going on in the world, your health, like, you know, just, I could go on forever, but you feel what I'm saying. Like, it's about the growth. It's about recognition of your own stuff. That's the work, because the work is really raising the frequency so we can collectively raise the frequency. So what is raising the frequency? What is the frequency? The frequency is how you feel. Your vibration is how you feel. And the happier you feel, the more connected and loving you feel, the more your service to others, the more you raise your frequency. So really, if we want to get down and talk about what the work is, it's that. And in order to raise your frequency and feel better and open your heart more, you got to look at yourself. You got to look at where you can improve upon yourself and look at things that have triggered you your whole life, or look at things that you have went through and how they still affect you. If you're still doing the same shit you've always done, then you're not growing at all. And it's gonna get really, really difficult the more, you know, the collective and earth raises its vibration, because you have to keep up or you will get dragged, because the frequency is asking you to meet it there and beyond. So it's just like expand or torture yourself, basically. So just, we have to open our hearts and be willing to say, I'm not perfect, nor do I have some burning desire to be perfect, but the goal for me is to just walk with integrity and treat people how I want to be treated, and open my heart so I'm connected to source and I can get that divine inspiration to create a better world around me effortlessly. It doesn't have to be some huge effort, because when you are in alignment, everything falls into place as you co-create with the universe around you, with people, places, things. It doesn't have to be difficult. We make it difficult out of trying to control our own lives, or try to live our life by some programming, or how, you know, our pastors, parents, whatever, our society and culture tells us that we should be living our life, when there is no rule book because every single individual person is going to be living a very unique and different life. And it's very, very sad that we live in this prison that everyone's living, they're trying to put everyone in the same box to live the same life, to do the same things. That is so non-expansive. Like, I can't think of anything more non-expansive than that. Because expansive is like allowing others to open their hearts, follow that divine creative inspiration, express that, which will be like nobody else's. And if every single person is expressing that, it would be this beautiful geometric, like if you saw it from aerial view, like what that looked like. It's like all the cells in a body, in a healthy body, working together in this cohesive way to create this thriving vessel. And that's what Gaia is. And we're the little cells. And it's like, how can we create this high vibration so we can represent and not be a cancer cell or like a parasite, and add to like the collective like disconnect and come together so it can all work together beautifully. Like how geometry shows up in nature, how perfectly, it's just so perfect, right? And if we were all connected to source and expressing in our own unique ways, that's what it would look like. And that's where we're headed. And it's like, if you can't keep up, I don't know what's going to happen, because I'm humble enough to say, like, I have no idea. I can tell you what a lot of prophecies were, and I can tell you what a lot of spiritual people in their intuition are saying and aligning with, you know. But at the end of the day, we don't really know. But we do know we're here to raise our vibration to help the collective do that. So whatever that looks like for you, it's just heart expansion in your own unique way, and opening up to that, and not trying to go copy somebody else, because they don't know what's for you. You know what's for you. Only you. And how to connect and tap into that is just to start loving yourself. Start giving yourself that time that you give everything else that distracts you. You give your phone all this time, you give Netflix all this time, you give your family and friends who really don't know you, because half the time you're putting up some front to giving them this character that you want them to receive, right? You're distracted by all these external things where you could take some of that time back and put it into you in whatever way serves you and helps you expand. So yeah, I love you all, and I hope this helps somebody. And there's a beautiful butterfly to wrap it up. I turned my camera around, but you probably wouldn't be able to see it through these dirty windows. Hey, I've been moving, so the truck needs a good washing if anyone wants to come over and help. All right, guys, I love you, and have an amazing day.